Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it. Today, we are thinking about ayahuasca. I said it right? Yay!
Yes,
I said it
ma'am.
really slow because I had to really think about it.
The indigenous tribes, they say ayahuasca.
Oh, they say it's smooth. Ayahuasca. Yeah, it just snaps at the end. I like
Yeah.
that. I mean, what is it though? What really is ayahuasca?
So ayahuasca is made from a shakuna leaf and ayahuasca vine, and it has been a teacher amongst the indigenous tribes around the Amazon, Peru, Colombia. It can be compared to peyote with the Native American tribes, right? They used it during their spiritual ceremonies for vision, for connection, to remain connected to who they truly are, as opposed to these, uh, labels and attachments that have become our stories, in the human experience.
Yeah. And how did you get into this, if you don't mind?
I do not mind. So I'm going to finish. They take the vine and the leaf, and a shaman will cook. It's an elixir, so they will cook it over a 24 to 48 hour period. It's done very ceremonial. There are prayers that go into it. They sing to it, and then what comes out is ayahuasca, which is the sacrament that we ingest to connect with that spirit. Like one might connect with the spirit through psilocybin, through mushrooms, right? Mushrooms have an intelligence about them, and when ingested, you go on a psilocybin experience or a mushroom journey, or
Or a trip, I guess.
yeah, or trip. It depends on what your background is.
Yeah, or a trip, whatever people will say. And that's interesting because I've heard of it in like documentaries that they have on Netflix when you were explaining the procedure. I think I've actually seen something like that on a documentary, but I never really knew of anybody that would actually go in that journey. I mean, if you don't mind, why did you want to go into this journey to actually try this? I mean, I'm assuming, did you try mushrooms as well to try to get that spiritual connection, or was this something that was just brought up to you and you were like, man, why not try it out?
So we'll use mushrooms. So ayahuasca goes back to the indigenous tribe. Mushrooms, because people are more familiar, will use that. Two different, two different entities, but from the same type of thing, right? So as I was a kid growing up in the country in good old, Georgia, uh, friends and people used to walk through the cow pastures and just pick mushrooms and dry them out and eat them, and they were for
Okay.
fun, because it's a connection, and you had the visuals and see things. But back then, it was just wow, man. Look at what this does to you, right? So I didn't know that they were actually done ceremonial until the last 4 to 5 years. But mushrooms, just like ayahuasca, just like peyote, go back centuries and centuries. And there are different types. And I'm not a big history buff, but I know the Animascara mushroom. Like a red mushroom with black dots on it. That is actually linked back to the reindeer days and Santa Claus, where they would sit around and eat mushrooms. And and I don't want to get too far because I don't know enough about it to talk about it.
Yeah.
That actually ties back. There are people who talk about, how the mushrooms were eaten by the reindeers and the people in the village, and they would celebrate. And then all of a sudden, then there's Christmas, and there are tales and things like that.
That is interesting. I didn't know that. To be honest, I had no idea about that. That is really cool. That is really cool that that's what they did, and that's, I mean, how they celebrated. I think that's interesting how people find a way to connect with their spiritual self or a spiritual, entity. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Sometimes it's a little risky because if I feel that if your mind isn't in the right place, you may not necessarily be able to get yourself out of that area. I mean, but what is that your opinion on that?
Uh, well, everyone's journey is different, right? And it's
Hmm.
hard to really explain the experience. I could use all the words that are in my vocabulary or the vocabulary, in the dictionary, but you can't describe it, right? So everyone's experience is different. There's a saying that you don't always get what you want, but you always get what you need, right? So, and then people come to ayahuasca or different plant medicines for different reasons. Some people want spiritual connection. Some people want to see what the hype's about and see what's on the other side of the veil. Some people, and it's really, which is the work that we do at paranormalretreats.com, is for healing, right? It's sad to say, but I would venture to say that 99.9% of the people on the planet, most especially the ones that we work with, that I'm familiar with and can speak from experience, women, is a rule. And this doesn't, everyone's life is different, but as a rule, women have always been looked at or targeted. There's a lot of trauma, sexual trauma, things like that with the women. I see it all the time. We talk about it with men, you know, it's a different type of trauma. You got to be a man. You got to stick your chest out. You grab the woman by the hair and drag him to the cave. And no, that's nothing more than generational trauma that started a long, long time ago and have been passed down and passed down and passed down and passed down. Right? They are identities. I'm only beautiful if I'm, look this way, or I'm not loved. My mom didn't really want me, or my dad never spent time with me. Whatever the case is, right? You could go on and on. And the psychological part of it. And these identities create the story of our lives, who we are, what we're capable of. I'll never go to college. I'm not smart enough. No one ever went to college. I'm a woman. I have got to be in the kitchen cooking, whatever. So you get the picture,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And that's not how it is. That's
Yeah.
not how it is at all. See, so we started out spiritually, with through history and every country has Africa has their own plant medicine. The Peru has their own plant medicine. The Indians, Native Americans have their own, right? So as we have moved away from our spiritual connection to God, right?
Uh-huh.
And identified with these stories, then we lose that connection. And you wake up living a human experience, and all you know is my name is Jay, and I'm a construction worker, and I'm not worthy enough, and I'm supposed to be this way, and that's what you identify with. And again, in there are your limitations and your self-worth and your confidence and all that goes along with that.
Yeah, that's true. I like the fact that you brought that up because sometimes our self-limitations, basically, we're self-sabotaging ourselves and
Mhm.
we're very much limiting who we can really be. I mean, and then it comes down to fear, because we put limits because of those fears. And I love how you said those generational, like, passed down traumas and those type of things are real, and people really need to talk about that and acknowledge that. And I know you talked about your retreat, and I'm really glad that you did because I was just about to bring it up. So thank you for bringing it up. Um, because it's curious to me because I know I'm such a common person, but I've seen like videos and it always makes me wonder, like, how do you find these? You know what I mean? Like, how do you find or just get into one of these retreats and what really happens in there? Because sometimes people say you go to these retreats and then you end up getting into a cult or you end up losing who you really are, and then some people they come out and they feel so refreshed and rejuvenated and a whole new person, so I guess it is kind of what you said. It depends on each person will have their own experience. But
Mhm.
how did you come across this? Did you end up going to a retreat yourself and somebody was like, you should check this one out?
I did. So my background is just straight up Baptist, right? I
Okay.
come from the traditional Baptist church. There's, one God up there in heaven. You've got to accept Jesus as your personal savior, and then you will make it into heaven. That's the only way. Um, same-sex marriage or same-sex relationships is blasphemy. It's a sin. If you drink, it's a sin. If you cuss, so you get the idea, right? Which is
Yeah.
not the case at all
Hmm.
from where I'm at now. So so I was like the normal person, and I hated my life. I hated my job. I was divorced, and I found myself on the sofa one night, and this emotional, just screaming. What's going on? What is the truth? Are you even real? And God is real, but God is not. I mean, it's so much more than that. God is all of life. And
Hmm.
all of life are individual expressions of the one collective consciousness of God, right? There's a tree, there's a male, there's a female, there's gay, there's straight, there's grass, there are butterflies. We're all individual expressions, but we're all of life and we're all connected. And we're here to support and feel fully alive and create more life, right? To flourish like the butterfly. No two butterflies are alike, but each butterfly is most beautiful in its most authentic expression, right? So, anyways, I prayed that prayer. Didn't know anything about nothing. People who smoked weed and did mushrooms were hippies, and tree huggers and people who did yoga were hippies, and that was my programming. It's all that I knew. Uh, and so I prayed this prayer, and exactly 1 week after this prayer, I found a book, like The Universe Began to Work. It was The
Yeah.
Secret by Rhonda Burns. You know the book?
No, I don't. Can you
The
repeat
Law
it
of
again?
Attraction.
Because it kind of like it broke up in there. Can you say the name of the book again?
It's called The Secret by Rhonda Burns.
Okay.
Very
Yeah.
famous
Yeah.
book. It's about the law of attraction. Like attracts like. You
Okay.
will attract into your reality what you are inside, what you become. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So everything that you are, everything that you believe about yourself, everything that you feel is what you will see. You will
Mhm.
see lack as opposed to opportunity. You will see, you know, uh, one ear shorter than the other instead of the beautiful expression, right?
Yeah.
Because behind the scenes, no one's perfect, right? It's
Yeah.
all a perception of the individual based
Right.
upon all their stuff, right? So, anyways, I found Law of Attraction, and I began to I read the book a few times and began to do my research, and I would find Oprah, Steve Harvey, Wayne Dyer. Like it was like a secret that everyone knew about but me. So I
Don't
learned
you
how to,
hate that?
huh?
Don't you hate that? How dare they keep that secret from
Yeah,
you?
that's right. That's right. So it was like a secret that that I'm not going to say successful because again, success is a perception within the individual experience, but what we would label as success, financially abundant, they look like they have it all, like they're happy, they love and all that, right?
Mhm.
So I did my research and I got deep into personal development. Now I had a great job as far as money goes, benefits, a good house. I had a good life from the outside, but on the inside, something was calling me. There was a message that I had. There was something pulling me. I didn't know
Mhm.
what it was. So I prayed this prayer. A week later, I found this book, and it was like bells going off, and all I heard inside in my heart was, "Here are your answers." So I got into meditation. I would do all these different, rituals and get up in all hours of the, night and different religions. And I was open to everything.
Mhm.
Uh, then I learned how to manifest, use the law of attraction for manifesting. I began to manifest. I've manifested money. I manifested houses. I manifested. I worked on it. Right. It wouldn't
Mhm.
work. Then it would work. So I worked on my craft. Uh, Once I got all that, you know, uh, in a good place and begin to learn the techniques and how to manifest and create everything that that I was dreaming of. Now it didn't just show up on my doorstep,
Yeah.
but 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 going into the process, you begin to manifest, and it just kind of happens overnight where you're like, oh my God, I want this in my life, and I want this in my life, and it's just a beautiful flow of process that you go into when you finally realize I can create whatever reality that I decide, as long as the laws don't conflict with each other. You can't go out and kill someone and expect, to be loved. You can't rob a bank and, you can't jump off a building and fly. I mean, so the
Yeah.
God's laws, man's laws, all the universal laws, which are essentially God's laws, they've got
Yeah.
to work together. But when
Yeah.
you learn how to work with them together, and you learn all these processes and changes, then it's like magic before your eyes. When you finally learn how to believe in it without the mind saying, "What are you doing? That's voodoo. That's what, you know what I mean?" Before the mind tries to take over, when you learn
Mm.
that, it
Yeah.
just shows up. The first 10,000 times, you're surprised, but after a while, you begin to just smile and say, "You know what? I'm happy, but I'm really not surprised anymore."
Right.
So
Yeah.
anyways, I'm sorry I get
It's okay. It's perfectly fine with me. I do it all the time where I get sidetracked. But I feel like those moments are precious because they add more to the story. So it's
oh,
okay.
I'm just so in love with my life, with every part of it. So anyways,
That's beautiful.
so things are going good, and I begin to manifest. I begin to, to pray, to meditate on it. I want more knowledge, more freedom, more wisdom, more. Everything come falling apart. I mean, come crashing down. Everything fell apart, come crashing down. The personal development, it's like, where did that go? I was at the bottom. 2 years later, I find myself in St. Petersburg, Florida. I
Mhm.
look back and saw that crash
Mhm.
is the move, the catalyst for St. Pete. I go to St. Petersburg, and it's a new life. And I begin to create, and I begin to manifest. And I begin to manifest and create what I asked for back then. But it took the crash, unbeknown to me, all the way down to suicide. Because the first thing I did was jump to pharmaceuticals. I'm having anxiety, I'm depressed, I'm having panics. Here, take this, and take this, and take this. Right? So I end up in my bedroom screaming to God again. Help me. What are the answers? And there's only one way to get the pain, to the emotions, the anxiety. It was so severe, so bad with the gun, and I'm literally screaming. And I hear a voice that say, "It's the medications." So I stop. I'm like, MFer. So so then here's another one of those. So there was a girl that I went to the gym with. We were friendly, but we weren't friends.
Yeah.
She was a pharmacist, like, a pharmacist.
Mhm. A legal pharmacist.
Illegal pharmacist. That's right. Right. She popped in my head, and I sent her a message. I'm in trouble. I need to talk to you. So she calls me up. I tell her what's going on. She asks me what I'm taking. She's like, those are almost all the side effects of all the medicines combined. She says, look, you can't just stop it, but we're going to wing you off of it. So over a 3 week period, 4 week period, she calls me every day like an angel. How are you doing? How are you feeling? We're going to cut back a little bit more. She gets me back to safety, and she just disappears. Just like that. She's gone out of my life. I don't see her no more. I don't hear from her no more. So, anyways, so that breakdown led to St. Petersburg.
Mhm.
Now I'm looking for more. Right, I'm still looking for more wisdom, more consciousness, more of it. God, give it to me.
Uh-huh.
And through another turn of events, I ended up in an ayahuasca retreat in Florida. Never heard of it. I actually heard of it 4 times in St. Pete before I stopped and said, okay, there's something there, right?
Right.
Uh, Friends were talking about it. I'm thinking, are you going to the jungle to get high? To this point, it was just personal development.
Yeah.
So my first thought was, and I'm not judging. My first thought was, okay, you're going to take a trip and you're going to go in the jungle and take this stuff, and people are going to watch you, and it's going to be fun. And then I
Hmm.
hear about it again. I hear about it again, and the third time I'm talking to a mentor,
Hmm.
and at the end of the conversation, I think I'm going to ask him about this ayahuasca.
Hmm.
Before I could even get the words out, he said, "You know what, Jay? Have you ever heard of ayahuasca? That may be for you." And that's when I said, I'm in. So,
Hmm.
so I go online, fill out the forms, and I think I'm going to go and drink this stuff, and all of my problems are going to be healed. All of my trauma. I've been sexually abused, physically abused, tormented. I've been through it. Um, so I go there thinking I'm going to drink this, and it's going to take everything away.
Yeah.
Ayahuasca isn't a cure for anything, but it's a tool for everything.
Oh,
So,
say that again if you don't mind. Say that last part again. The
so I
ayahuasca is not a cure for everything. It's a tour for
no.
everything.
So ayahuasca isn't a cure for anything, but
Uh-huh.
it is a tool for everything.
Oh, a tool for everything.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's
Yes.
interesting. Okay,
If I'm
continue.
speaking too fast, I have this Georgia thing going on.
No, you're fine. I lived in Georgia for a couple years, so I totally understand. You are good in my book.
Right
So
on,
keep
cool.
on going.
So I go there, and all ayahuasca did for me. Now remember, it doesn't always give you what you want, but it always gives you what you need. So I go into some abuse and I begin to purge. So everything is energy. We are energy, right?
Oh, yeah,
Everything is energy. The trees are energy. But energy creates matter, which is the illusion of reality that we live in,
correct.
right? So so what happens during traumatic events, like animals, we have fight or flight, right? The animals either fight or run. They look at the lion. The gazelle looks at the lion, says, "I'm not fighting. I'll be eaten," and runs. The gazelle gets to safety. The nervous system comes online, says, "You're out of danger. Go back to eating." The gazelle goes back to his life. The human gets into a traumatic situation, fight or flight, and they're too afraid to take either one, and they freeze, and their body shuts down, and then trauma is stored, right?
Yeah, that's a good
So
point.
it's stored in the way of energy. Yes, there's the memory, and the memory will always be there, but it's the emotions that make up the trauma. It's the event of it's not the situation itself, it's the reaction, it's the nervous system's reaction to the event that causes the trauma.
Yeah.
At the same time, your 5 senses take a snapshot of the whole scene.
Yes.
That will come up later as a trigger. Okay. So now
Yes.
you
Okay.
have trauma stored in as energy. You have
Okay.
you have your 5 senses: your smell, your sight, your touch, your hear of the scene.
Hmm.
The human body is a living organism designed to reproduce, to give more life, right? And so the living organism is here to survive in its environment. So it takes on its environment, the generational trauma. It takes on the environment, right? And then to survive, fight or flight, right? So what happens is you've got the event, you've got the snapshot of the event, but the mind puts the block because the emotions weren't processed. They feel like a threat to the body because they hurt so bad. I'm afraid. I'm traumatized, I'm beaten, I'm battered, whatever it is. 20, 30 years later, the mind has put a block up. You don't remember it. Some do, some don't, but a lot don't. They don't remember what happened when they were 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever. You're in the grocery store and a man comes walking up with a beard and a bald head, or overalls. And all of a sudden, your body, your nervous system perks up because the perpetrator, I don't want to be that. Anyways, the perpetrator was bald and had a beard, right? It was your, you know, it's so sad to say it, but it was an uncle or a grandfather or a father.
Yeah.
Uh, so you see this guy in the grocery store and you don't even realize it, but all of a sudden you're getting anxious. Oh my God, why am I so anxious? Having a panic
Yeah.
attack. Your body sees that guy. There's enough about him, the smell, the head, whatever, and it says, "Oh crap, you're in danger." Your nervous system comes online, but your mind has it blocked.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you go to the doctor. I'm having anxiety.
Yeah.
Here, take a, whatever the
Pill.
anxiety. Yeah, take a pill. Right?
Mhm.
Your body reacts. Now, your body is made naturally to survive and operate perfectly like it is. But
Yeah.
now you've added a man-made chemical, and it tweaks your body.
Yep.
Now the anxiety is going down, but now you're starting to have panic attacks. Oh my God, doc, I'm having panic attacks. Okay, so you need to take this because you're suffering from the side effect.
Yeah.
Before you know it, you're taking pills, right? So back to the ayahuasca. So for me,
Mhm.
I wanted to learn how to love myself. I didn't love myself for so many reasons, right?
Wow.
Because of my childhood, I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel lovable or accepted. So I wanted to just, why don't I love myself? Take these pains away. Well, what it did is it took me back to a couple of moments in time where I didn't have that option available. And what do? Is I purge. And a purge is any release of energy. You can cry, you can scream, you can laugh, you can poop, you can throw up, but it's a purge. Most people
Yeah.
throw up. I'm in the memory, everything, I'm right back in there, and then I purge it out.
Uh-huh.
My heart's open because ayahuasca is also a spirit. She's a grandmother spirit, and she's very ancient and very powerful. So you're connected spiritually. She's got you wrapped in your arms, and you can actually feel it, and she's holding you, and you're back in it, and you purge it out. Once you purge it out, you begin to forgive. Not only do you purge it out, but then she takes you to the uncle, to when the uncle was a child, so that you can see that the
That
uncle
story.
was abused sexually. It doesn't make it right, by no
Correct.
means, but it makes it easier to forgive. So what it does, it
Understandable.
begins to evoke compassion and forgiveness and divine love, the Jesus type love
Okay.
that you talk about,
Okay.
right?
That's so interesting.
Uh, he who is without sin throw the first stone, right? So that's how ayahuasca worked for me, but that's what I needed.
Yeah.
Now, you journal, you go through the weekend, and when you leave, now you've got something to work on
Yeah.
because
Because
they don't
it's
kill you. You don't go to sleep and you wake up and your life's perfect. It opens you up.
yes.
It says, this is who you really are. This,
Mhm.
from a spiritual point, this is who you are as a human with your ego. And your ego is made up of all those identities, your insecurities, the voices that, have taken, you know, the cry for help to mommy and wasn't heard. And now it's anger. So your girlfriend or your boyfriend come in, did you stop by and get the bread? Did I ask you to stop? Oh no, I forgot about it. All of a sudden, what happens is that thing comes online. Mama didn't listen to me. He's not listening to me. So what happens? You never do what I say. You never listen to what I say, right? You go into shadow to that part of you that you've repressed because it hurts. That, mommy just listened to what I had to say. No, 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 I'm busy. Get lost. Now you're an adult. And that trigger, because your mate, your husband didn't get the bread. It's not about that bread. It goes all the way back to when you were 9 years old. And so what happens is it comes online and you get mad because that's the part of you that begins to blame. You don't ever listen to me, You don't you're always out doing whatever, you're out drinking, all I asked you to do was get bread. And then what happens is he goes into his shadow. Now his dad is screaming at him, you're worthless, you're no good, you never do anything right. And what happens? Screw you. It's just bread. Go get the damn bread yourself. So now you're shadow boxing. Your pain and my pain is having a fight. Now we're married. You're an adult and I'm an adult. So it appears. But actually, it is little Mitzi and little Jay. And you're screaming, Mommy, 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 just hear me. And I'm screaming, stop yelling at me. You're always yelling at me. I never do anything right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where you're at. So the ayahuasca gives you these tools. But now we had our last retreat, a Brazilian, a lady who had never drank it before, great energy, just like yourself. She just wanted to connect. She had been doing work. She was working on her spiritual self, she's Catholic, but she knows there's more, right? Because that's what's going on. The Great Awakening, everything. People will begin. They're not waking up saying, "I'm going to go drink ayahuasca." They're waking up saying, "There's more to life than this. There's a bigger purpose to me. This is not the life I am supposed to be living. There's something, And so they begin to search. Or people are waking up with PTSD. And I'm a veteran that has that is suffers from PTSD. I've learned to manage it, and I work with other veterans. But there are people with PTSD who the doctor's drugs don't work, the classes don't work. They're in cocaine, they're in alcohol, they're in whatever, they're in fights, they're in trouble, they're in jail, and they're about to commit suicide. And all they want is help, so they get on. And they start to search. Seek and you shall find. And what pops up? Ayahuasca and PTSD.
Wow.
So some people come through. This is their last try.
Yeah.
Go through the process and they cry for hours. And they come out the other side and they never take another drink.
Wow.
They still work.
I think this is beautiful. I think you sharing your honesty and you sharing your perspective and your experience is very opening and vulnerable, and I appreciate you telling me everything that you did and your experiences. I appreciate that because let's be honest, in this day and age, it's not normal to speak about your testimony, and what you've been through and the ups and downs. I mean, you didn't have to tell me that you were in a room contemplating death with a gun close to your mouth. I mean, you didn't have to, but you did, and I love it because you know why? It's real. It's so real to the core, and people need to hear that. People need to think about that. People need to know that you're not the only one that's contemplated death, that thought that, you know what, death would just make it all go away. But in reality, it doesn't. It doesn't. It really doesn't make it go away because the pain is what you feel, the trauma is what you feel, and the fact that you spoke about the trauma and how you relive it, and the fact that you said that the trauma takes snapshots of your senses. And I've spoken with other people who said that when they had to relive it, they smelled the memory, they seen certain things that they didn't remember at that time, and it's so real. You know what I mean? And we need this. We need this reality of the realness that people are so fogged by the norm of how people are reacting and living as if it's normal to not be normal. I mean, it's normal. It's for them. I mean, society makes it seem like if you're screaming and asking for help, then you don't got yourself going on, and you need to just go somewhere else by yourself and go in a corner and figure yourself out by yourself. And it's not what we are trying to do. This generation has changed the game where we are realizing that we are all fucked up. You know what I mean? We
Yes.
all have trauma. We all have been abused in some way, shape, or form, and I love it. And I thank you for that. And I thank you for just being real with me and to just start wrapping up the show because we only have a few
That's okay,
minutes.
sister.
And what can be some lasting words that you can give us off with? I mean, even though you already said some great stuff, and ladies and gentlemen, if you are wanting to know more, I know he said his website earlier on in the show, but don't worry. I have his website on my website, mitzythinking.com. You click on his lovely photo and you can find the direct link to his retreat if you are interested in this direction, because it seems like something that if you're down this path and you're really trying to figure out what, where, and what to do, honey, this is the sign. I mean, come on. Jay said it so many times. How many signs are you gonna get before you realize should have
That's
had a
it.
V8, right?
And so, and I know that we have to wrap it up, but our retreats, and go to our website and look at our retreats. It's not just ayahuasca. There's hypnotherapy, there's psychosynthesis, there's breath work, meditation. We've created a process with all these different modalities to open you up to remember who you are and to give you the tools to work on these things. Women have been sexually abused and raped and treated like dirt. Men have been taught to bang their chest and don't cry. And the whole world is walking around with masks on. And no one can be their self because everyone's afraid of being judged. Everyone's jealous and envious and guilty and all that. And here are your words. Emotions. I don't, let me go back. Let me do this again. Memories without emotions is wisdom. So when you have a memory and it comes with an emotion, there's something that needs to be worked on. It doesn't matter if it's with your spouse, with your partner. And look, we're all connected. Black, white, pink, purple, gay, short, fat, tall. We're all beautiful expressions of life that
Mm-hmm.
that need to they've got to learn how to love each other for who we are and support each other, life supporting life, right? So always know that if someone says something to you, a coworker, a friend, a road rage, anything, if something sets you off, if something pushes your button, there's some work to be done.
There you go. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. We all have work to be done within ourselves. But these are some great words from Jay. Thank you so much, Jay. I
Um,
appreciate you being on my show. You have really dropped some wisdom on us. I appreciate that. But that's it. That's our show, y'all. Y'all take care. Be safe. Always, always keep thinking, y'all. Bye.